Minister Jo Stevens.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker, and may I also thank the Backbench Business Committee for recognising the importance of allocating time to hold this debate on Wales and Welsh affairs. I'd also like to thank my honourable friends, the members for Newport West and Islwyn, and Ceredigion Preseli, the Chair and Vice Chair of the Welsh Affairs Select Committee, respectively, for proposing today's motion. It's a real honour to be the first female Labour Secretary of State for Wales and begin delivering this government's plan for change. Across Wales and the whole of the UK, we will raise living standards, make our public services fit for the future, our streets safer, secure home, clean energy, and ensure there is opportunity for all. That is the change that people in Wales, across Wales, need, they deserve, and they voted for 7 months ago. When we took office, I was very clear that in the Wales office, my priorities included bringing investment to Wales to create well-paid jobs and economic growth, protecting and defending our steel communities, and resetting the relationship between the UK Government and Welsh Government so that it is one of trust, cooperation and mutual respect. The past 6 months have already seen billions of pounds of investment committed and hundreds of jobs created, including at the Port of Mostyn, at Erin Holding, at Shotton Mill, and the ground has been laid for thousands more in advanced manufacturing, renewable energy and other growth sectors. And just this week, I announced a £600 million investment by Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners into Bute Energy and Green Gen Cymru's onshore wind generation. That will create hundreds of new jobs and contribute significantly to the UK Government's clean power mission and our ambition to double onshore wind, as well as the Welsh Government's target for green electricity in Wales by 2035. If he doesn't mind, I'll just carry on for a bit because we haven't got very much time left. We've given the green light for Welsh free ports to unlock billions in private investment and galvanise almost 20,000 jobs in our port communities of Milford Haven, Port Talbot and Holyhead. 2 investment zones in Wrexham and Flintshire and in Cardiff and Newport have been confirmed with £320 million of funding to support growth in key sectors of the economy to create those new jobs. We've also secured funding for local growth projects across Wales worth £440 million, including money for Cardiff Crossrail and the recently opened Porth Transport Hub. And we've protected key programmes important for local regeneration and economic growth, like the iconic Newport Transporter Bridge and Venue Cymru in Llandudno. We're continuing to invest throughout Wales with over £790 million in UK government funding through the city and regional growth deals. And unlike the last government, the Conservative government, whose £22 billion in unfunded commitments left many Welsh levelling up developments at risk, our investment in these initiatives is an example of how our plan for change will lead to a decade of national renewal for people the length and breadth of Wales. Madam Deputy Speaker, Wales now has the benefit of 2 Labour governments committed to the regeneration and economic growth that will put more money in people's pockets, raising living standards. This is a partnership in power that will continue to deliver for the people of Wales. As we've heard this afternoon, the Welsh Government had a record-breaking funding settlement from the UK Government in the budget of £21 billion, with £1.7 billion extra to spend on improving public services in Wales. And the Welsh Government has committed £600 million of that extra funding for health and social care. And I really welcome the recent news that waiting times in Wales are heading in the right direction. And I do hope that both the Conservative members of the Senedd and the Plaid Cymru members of the Senedd will reconsider their position on voting against the Welsh budget next week, because they are just sending the message that they don't want that extra investment into public services in Wales. I'll give way.
I would ask her, from the point of view of Plaid Cymru, is what she is doing to address the structural inequality of the United Kingdom, which her government is maintaining in this partnership she talks about between Labour here in Westminster and Labour in Cardiff, because the funding inequality that doesn't recognise our needs is still remaining.
I don't think the Right Honourable Lady has really listened to the list of things that have been announced to Wales in the last 7 months. This is always the same with Plaid Cymru. It's always about the structures and the processes. It's not about the outcome. It's not about the priorities of the people of Wales. Turning now to steel. I won't, I'm afraid, because he's had his speech. So turning now to steel, Madam Deputy Speaker. You may recall that on election day last year, Tata was intending to shut down both its blast furnaces, ending steelmaking at Port Talbot. And again, unlike the last Tory government, who promised £80 million of support that didn't exist to Port Talbot, this government has secured £80 million of support, and we're actually delivering for our steel communities right across South Wales. In just 6 months, over £50 million has been allocated through the Transition Board to help people and businesses. And this month, I also announced the first regeneration project to be supported by £8.2 million of Transition Board funds. Now, I mentioned earlier my priority to reset the relationship with Welsh Government. And since the election, people across Wales have been able to see the results of that reset. Significant inward investment, a record-breaking Welsh budget settlement, investment zones, free ports, clean energy projects on and offshore. UK and Welsh governments working together and delivering for the people of Wales on economic growth, on clean energy, on water regulation, on health and on plans for future rail improvement. And after years of deadlock, I'm not going to give way. After years of deadlock, it was this UK government that stepped up with £25 million for the Welsh Government to keep coal tips safe. And I think there's no better illustration of the new relationship between the two governments than this cooperation on a matter that I know is of concern for people in former coal mining communities across Wales. Now, today's debate has raised some important issues, and we've had some excellent contributions from colleagues. I'll just run through a few. From my friend from Neath and Swansea East, whenever I hear the word Neath, I just think Neath, 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 the rugby chant, and that was definitely a Neath, Neath, Neath speech. The member for Chester South and Eddisbury, I recognised, having grown up very near to the border, the economic, cultural and personal ties that she described. My friend from Newport East asked for a meeting with her colleagues to talk about Newport, and I'd be delighted to do that. From Monmouthshire, the member for Monmouthshire talked about the 21st Century Schools programme, as did my friend from Clwyd North. And my friend from Monmouthshire also paid tribute, which I echo, to all of the public sector workers of Wales. The Honourable Member for Wrexham, I was delighted to see Wrexham AFC promoted last season. I went to the game against Stockport at the end of the season and have in my time drunk quite a lot of that famous export Wrexham lager as well. And my friend from Cardiff West talked about the political DNA in his constituency and about Ely, where I recognised his descriptions of the sports club. I've spent many weekends on the touchlines of pitches in Cardiff West, and it's great to see the clubs going from strength to strength. My friend from Montgomeryshire and Glyndŵr gave a passionate speech about the history of his constituency, a constituency full of people with big hearts, and he's definitely got a big heart. From Mid and South Pembrokeshire, my friend mentioned his proud city of St David's in his constituency and the £1 million Regional Skills Fund that we have recently announced for Pembrokeshire. I was very interested to hear mention of the Honourable Lady opposite of her Wine Street escapades. I also had some of those as well, and maybe we should have a chat outside the chamber about that at some point. But I would like to say to everybody a very happy St David's Day. Thank them for their contributions to this debate, and look forward to celebrating on Saturday.